Vice Chair Scoggins and Member Laz are absent.
Very good. So we shall move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll stand. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And any questions or changes to the agenda from any members? Not seen any? Not seen any. Shall we make a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Excellent. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous. And the minutes, the people who were absent are absent, so we can move forward with approving these. If anybody has any questions or changes, we should move forward to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve all the minutes.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I love unanimous. We shall move on to public comment, and seeing that there's no one, we will move on to the consent calendar, which leads us right into public hearings. The design review and public right-of-way for the new Welcome to Yountville signs. Sandra?
Good evening. So tonight you are considering the redesign and replacement of the two Welcome to Yountville signs that are located at the south and north ends of towns. The one at the south end is located at Washington Street, where it intersects with California. The one on the north end is on Madison before you reach Washington. And these signs were approved in the 90s. They've been in place about 20 years as part of an overall sign package for directional signage. And they gave directional information to visitor information, dining and shopping. They also included information on the Silverado Trail and Highway 29. And they included blank panels that would from time to time announce Chamber of Commerce special events. And in your packet I have photos of the two signs. The first one is the one at the south end of town, and the second page is the one that was located at the north end of town. And both of these are rustic wood signs with routed wood and painted finishes. They're 8 feet in height and about 5 feet in width. The one at the north end of town went missing when R&D Kitchen was under construction. It went into storage. It was expected that it would be reinstalled, and it was required as part of the project. But when it came time to do so, it was nowhere to be found. So we entered discussions with R&D Kitchen and Hillstone Restaurant Group about replacing the sign. And initially the discussion was that they would just copy the sign and reinstall it. After further thought, they thought they might like to redesign it and propose that concept to the town and to the Chamber of Commerce, since these are Chamber of Commerce signs. And we've gone back and forth on different rounds. Initially, they had proposed very small, low signs that we thought would not be legible to vehicles since they are intended for motorists. And through a compromise situation, we've increased them in size, although they are both smaller than the existing signs. The drawings show the one at the south end of town to be 8 feet, which is the same as the existing sign, but the one on the north end is 5.5 feet, and they're less wide. They went from 5 feet to about 4 feet 3 inches. And their design is more simplified. You may say it's more similar to the wayfinding signs, where there's the use of redwood and the black metal. However, this also introduces metal in a buff color, so it's a third element. And the signs retain the Welcome to Yountville message. They include the Chamber's new logo, which is Taste Life Here, beneath it. And that's the main sign panel. And if you compare that to the existing sign, it obviously removes the routed logo that showed the town, and that's very similar to the town's trademark logo that you see on the agenda and in the header of the staff reports. The information on visitor information and shopping and dining is retained, although shopping and dining was combined rather than being on separate lines. The one at the south end of town will include an extra panel for gas, and then the bottom panel is retained to advertise the Chamber of Commerce's special events. And I think because this went through a process of negotiation and has been agreed upon, that we're really generally supportive of the new sign. The Chamber's indicated they're generally supportive too, although they would like elements to be larger, and they, I would say they definitely mourn the loss of the logo from the sign, since that had come to be known, come to identify Yountville when you enter it. So while the sign is smaller, staff does not have concerns with the main panel on Welcome to Yountville or the panels indicating visitor information and shopping dining, because those are roughly the same as what we have now. While the lower panels are smaller, the copy itself is just about 3 inches, so it's not a whole lot smaller than existing. There are a couple of issues that we want to put out to you and get your feedback and opinion on, and possibly condition the project to change. One of those is the size of the blank panel to advertise the Chamber of Commerce's special events. This is one of the bigger changes. It went from 12 inches in height to just 6 inches in height. And when you compare it to the existing sign, that's going to make it a pretty small, narrow sign, and the Chamber's going to have to redo all of those panels they use for the events like Festival of Lights and Yountville Days. And perhaps it's too small to convey that message. So 12 inches is probably too large based on the new dimensions of these signs. So I'm putting an option out there to see whether you think 9 inches would better suit the purpose for which it's intended. And it should have a little more prominence to advertise these events, since they are always significant Yountville events. The other concern of staff is with the south sign, and you can see it's at 8 feet, and that's the same height as existing, but since the dimensions are smaller, it just really seems too tall. So we would recommend it be reduced in height, perhaps to 6 or 7 feet. But we're otherwise supportive of the change, and I can answer any questions, and then I know that Cindy Saucerman with the Chamber is here as well.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Commissioner Cook, do you have any questions of staff?
Just one. At the north end of town, the placement in this photo of the sign right after that pad, do you know what that pad is for?
That pad is used for message boards when they come into town, so it can't be in front of it to block those message boards.
Isn't the message board part up high? Just seems like maybe that should be in front of when there's potential signs there.
Well, it would, we're concerned that it would create some blockage of that
Okay.
sign, and then also some more busyness to have to read over that sign. And those message boards are in place only for short periods. They announce things like
Right.
special events.
Schools open and all
Yeah,
that
flooding, schools open.
Yeah.
But also special events.
Okay.
Okay.
So it would be the day of a Chamber of Commerce special event, whereas the other one leads up to it.
Okay. That's it.
Commissioner Janes, any questions of staff?
No.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I got a little confused with all the numbers. Just a clarification, on the south side, what was the height of the sign?
8 feet?
On the south side as well, the one that R&D removed? North side, sorry.
North side.
Side.
That was also 8 feet.
That was 8 feet as well.
It's shown on the second page in your...
Yeah, no, I just,
That's really fun.
it's been a while, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember.
All right. Very good. Would the representative of the chamber like to come forward and make any comments?
Mr. Chair, board members, my name's Cindy Saucerman. I'm the president CEO of the Yountville Chamber of Commerce. when I first learned that the sign went missing, I was a little concerned. And then during the whole season and the process of reviewing and redoing the street signs and going away from the carved wood, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that a change was about to come to this signage. And there was a time when the council actually gave deference to the recommendations of the design and review board, and they still do. But I mean, we really took their recommendations very seriously. And it all came back to and it still does, it all came back to the general plan and the design ordinance and, of course, the recommendations of staff. The carved wood, as you know, the public is a little nostalgic when it comes to change, and they don't want to see or didn't want to see the carved wood street signs go away, but eventually it was accepted they would be redone, kind of bring them up to code and make them safer and easier to see at night and that sort of thing. So, but the thing that concerned me initially was the nature of the welcome sign. It really, in my opinion, and I know a lot of other folks have held the same opinion, it epitomized our character. And the charm, and I know of Yountville, and I know things change, and come on, let's get with the program, let's get modern here. The wayfinding signs have been very well received, and everybody's loving them, and they serve their purpose. And of course, our visibility has been improved over the past few months at the Welcome Center, so we're really pleased with that. But just that symbol, the town logo, I know you're going to, I believe you intend to keep the sign that's in front of Town Hall now, and that has the town logo and welcome to Yountville and that sort of thing. The consistency is something that kind of resonates with me, and I was hoping that we could keep that. So that being said, after discussions, lengthy discussions with the planning staff and back and forth with the Hillstone, and the fact that the sign was no longer available, the new design is acceptable. What I would like to see is that this board take the recommendations of staff and allow for a little bit larger panel on the bottom. Proportionally, I think it would look good, and it would provide us enough space to display town events and chamber events like the Festival of Lights. And we would have to have new panels made because they're obviously not the same dimension, so we would have new signage created for that, and perhaps a little more tastefully done for both Festival of Lights and Taste of Yountville. I think we'll miss the carved redwood. It's colorful. It represents Yountville very well. It has your logo on it, and but you know, when the new signs go in, they'll be accepted eventually anyway. So I would just ask that you consider the recommendations of staff, and let's get these signs in place, and hopefully they will serve their purpose. I wouldn't mind if the sign at the north end was just a tiny bit higher, and I believe there's a tree right in front of that concrete pad.
Mm-hmm. You can.
And I was noticing
shadow.
You can see the shadow. Mm-hmm.
I was noticing that the other night, and there's some shrubbery planted there. So eventually that short little sign is going to become kind of obscure. And then I would hate to have to, you know, look to remove the tree or remove the shrubs or whatever for visibility's sake. But other than that, the beautiful welcome to Yountville signs that we all know and love and are very visible as you come into town can be converted for consistency's sake, modernized, and maybe reduced in size, and hopefully they will still serve their purpose. We're not opposed. Personally, I'm not, and the Chamber's not opposed to replacing the signs with the new design. It's just hard to let go of something that you've grown so fond of and represents the town so well for all these years. Do you have any questions?
Commissioner Cook?
Be happy to.
I do, of course. Do you have a preference for the chamber, for your purposes, of the size of the bottom panel for your events? I would go with your recommendation so that your signs are legible.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if it was just large enough to have the event name and then the date. For example, I realize this Festival of Lights sign, I believe it's probably 12 inches, but...
and it doesn't look overly large when you see it in
well,
place.
and it doesn't in relationship to the new proposed sign, the top panel and the bottom panel. It would be a nice balance, I think, if it were maybe 6 to 9 inches in width or depth, because the width is a little bit shorter than the original sign.
Okay. And I don't remember, is there a sign under it? Yeah, okay, that's just blank when your sign's
It's just
not
a blank
there. Okay.
panel with mounting brackets so that
Okay.
we can mount our signage on it. And again, like I said, we would probably have new signs made
It's a different width.
that would fit, and we'd just definitely need, when it's installed, it would be ideal if there were metal or receiving panels so that we could just screw into the panels
Right.
instead of into the wood.
Yeah,
Because eventually
that would
those
make sense.
deteriorate
Yeah,
and fall apart. So we don't have. I think the design is beautiful. It's very contemporary, and I like contemporary. I'm leaning towards the contemporary look, and it looks good with the wayfinding sign. So I don't. The chamber doesn't really have an issue with it. I haven't heard any feedback from any of our businesses. So. But the signage has been missed at the north end, and we do need something. And signage at the Welcome Center has improved dramatically since they took out the 2 pistache trees on the east side of the sidewalk. And just today, they poured the concrete to level the sidewalk in front of Grosinger's,
Good.
which makes it very safe. And with the 2 pistache trees gone, they can now see the signage at Piazza Quercia.
Commissioner
Great.
Janes, any questions?
None.
Thank you.
Summarize my feelings.
Thank you. One quick question. What about reducing it to 6 feet in height?
The south entrance sign,
Hmm?
I noticed the illustration looks a little awkward. It seems to be too high and disproportionate. You could reduce it. There are plants and shrubs there underneath the sign, so there will be something filling in that space. And you might even want to consider putting, I mean, you've got visitor info, shop, dine, but there's no lodging sign. Visitor info, dining, shopping, Silverado Trail. Lodging might be a logical panel. I don't know, you might leave enough room, maybe put a 3rd panel in the gas, okay, gas, lodging / gas, or lodging and gas, whatever.
Gas, food, lodging, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure,
That's a good
something
one.
like that. But anyway, those things, lodging should probably be on a panel in there somewhere.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So we will close the public comment, and shall we start with Commissioner Janes?
Sure. Overall, I'm very pleased with the design. I think it's cleaner and simpler. I like it. Regarding the height at the north end, no, I do not think it should be increased in height. I submit that the tree that will potentially obscure it will continue to grow taller, and in fact, a taller sign will be more obscured in the future by a tree. The chamber sign, I support it being larger. I recommend it be 9.5 inches tall, so that it is precisely double the height of the other signs. I think that provides balance. I agree the south side sign is far too tall. It does look awkward with that large space. I do not recommend that lodging be added. While that question was broached primarily with respect to the south end, were I a business owner who also had lodging at the north end, I would want that information added to the north end, which perforce means that sign must get taller. And when I hear it, I just can't help but thinking of a Caltrans blue sign that says gas, food, lodging, and there's a truck stop coming up.
And do you have a comment on the height for the south side of the 8 feet?
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't hear it.
I think it
Should be shorter.
I do.
Thank you.
Far too awkward with that large gap underneath.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Commissioner Cook?
I agree with all the comments Jason made. All of them. 9.5 for the bottom panel. Sounds good. I think it does need to have tapped holes so that they can install their signs. That needs to be added. And I would recommend that the top piece, the Welcome to Yountville piece, be on a fixed mount like the rest of the signs instead of hanging. I think it's a little too inviting for vandals with it just hanging on a piece of heavy chain. And it looks a little flimsy that way. So if they could put 2 posts in from the side on both of them. And that's it.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm fine with everything. I wanted to get. I'm sorry. What about the sides? The height on this on the south side? You agree it should be shorter?
Yes.
And we shall leave that up to the applicant to determine that height, or
We're being asked to
yeah, what side?
approve the project, so I think we need to specify a height. to
Yeah.
approve.
No.
think if you
so I
take
was
it-
hoping you guys would.
I think
6 feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just a little worried if you take 2 feet off the bottom that the event sign will be in the grasses that are there, that are probably bigger. Do you think it'll be covered?
I don't object to the landscaping being modified to.
Okay. It could be trimmed twice
So
a year.
that sounds okay?
Yeah.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good.
6
Thank
feet.
you. So Sandra, we're clear on 9.5 inches for the bottom, 6 feet for the south side. Welcome to Yountville on a fixed mount. Very good. Would someone like to make a motion for all that?
I believe we have agreement on 4 items. The 5th item is making the Welcome to Yountville fixed. Do you concur, Jeff?
Yeah. No, I'm fine with that. I agree. Once looking at that, I think it's fine.
Okay, then I will too, so that we are unanimous. Therefore,
That's a good point. Thank you. Thank you.
Therefore, I will move that we approve the application for the 2 new monument signs at either end of town with the following revised conditions. The north side sign shall be approved at its presented height, not an increased height. In both locations, the signage reserved for chamber and/or town of Yountville use is approved at a height of 9.5 inches. The south side sign shall not exceed 6 feet in height.
Any further discussion?
And was there one more agreement?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
And on both signs, the
Oh.
thing I didn't. On both signs, thank you, Sandra, the Welcome to Yountville sub-sign shall be fastened to the posts in a fashion similar to the smaller subsidiary signs.
And I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. The project is approved. Thank you. Sandra, we'll move on to number 8, staff and board reports.
There was just one thing I wanted to discuss, and that was whether the board would be interested in receiving electronic copies of all staff reports and agendas, including drawings. I realize that we don't have laptops to conduct work, but I think we would continue to deliver hard packets in case you need to see the drawings themselves, but this would be an additional way of receiving information.
I would like to, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
So everyone
Yes.
nodding?
Yeah.
Okay,
If I'm on the road, that's definitely helpful.
okay.
It is.
Are we in fact prohibited from having electronic devices? Do our rules of order or our protocols prohibit us from having electronic devices if they're used for the
No.
meeting? So could I in
You-
fact bring my laptop?
You could use personal devices. The town has not yet provided you with iPads. We hope to do so sometime in the future. We don't know when that'll be budgeted, so in this waiting period, yeah, if you're willing to use your own personal devices.
So we can bring it, okay,
That would be fine. Okay,
okay.
we will add that to
Excellent.
next month's agenda
Good.
then. Hopefully it'll be easier. The electronic, send them electronically. But I also thought I should continue to deliver hard copy packets.
Sure.
Do you
Be
feel
nice
that
if
could-
it came with like a little fruit basket or,
Wine.
chocolates?
Oh, yeah,
Wine.
bottle wine.
yes,
Chocolate would be.
yes,
But do you still think that the hard packets are useful?
yes.
Only if
Okay.
there's a drawing, and there usually is.
Okay. All right, so we'll make that slight change then.
Okay.
Otherwise, no real information to report on projects in town, except we were sort of buttoning down the hatches with some of the vacant parcels and those that have moved around soils to get erosion control measures in place, just in case a big storm really does hit us tomorrow or the next day.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or concerns from the councilman, from the commissioners?
No.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Then we shall adjourn this meeting to the next scheduled ZDRB meeting, which is January 13, 2014. Thank you very much.
Great. Happy New Year.
Happy-